Hello all, my name is Krishna and welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, today in this particular video, I'll be explaining you how you should actually say about your projects in front of a recruiter. Now this is because one of my subscriber had asked this questions today itself. So he had basically commented in one of the videos is like all the videos are really nice and you explain very well. How to explain the project in front of an interviewer when they are asking me to tell me about my project and I'm getting confused from where should I start. So please do explain by an example how to actually start this particular topic. Now, well, guys, I can understand if you are a fresher, if you are learning machine learning or data science, if you're learning deep learning, and if you have implemented some projects by your way itself, right? By in your local laptop, and you basically want to write that particular project into your resume and actually mention that particular resume in front of the recruiter, right? Because most of the people who are actually learning machine learning or data science, they don't have any real world hands-on project implemented right now, right? But still you can actually develop some projects within yourself, by using some data frameworks, by using some big data clusters, by using some techniques, tools, life cycle of a data science along with the deployment. And then you can upload all those things in your GitHub profile and you can basically explain in a much better way. So in this particular video, I'll be discussing about this particular topic, try to explain you each and everything, how you should actually go ahead in front of a recruiter and tell about the projects. Why I'm telling you specifically this particular question, guys, because in my previous two companies, I had just cleared interview by explaining my projects in a proper way. Now, when I explained my projects in a proper way, I made sure that all the complex things that I implemented in that particular project was mentioned clearly with all the different kind of challenges that I faced and how did I fix that. Okay, so let us go ahead. First of all, we'll try to divide this whole video section into multiple parts. So first of all, to implement any data science project, right? First of all, we need data. So how did you collect the data? And there are various ways of collecting the data. Okay, I need not say that just tell this particular way. It is up to you. Suppose I'll give you some example from some third-party APIs, right? The data set that is present within your company, right? The next data can be through web scraping. So all these are, I'm just telling you three techniques. There are multiple techniques also. You can also say that you have taken some data from Kaggle, right? So because Kaggle provides you free data sets, which you can actually use it for research purpose. And apart from that, there are many such repositories, and I've also made a video regarding that, from where you can actually pick up those kind of data, right? So try to actually explain these three things. How did you collect the data? Okay, how did you collect the data, and how frequently the data is collected also, because this frequency is also very important. Now, when I'm saying about this particular data, you may also require some live stream data. Okay, live stream data may be, suppose if I take an example of predicting AQI index, you continuously need to know the forecasted temperature, you need to know what will be the maximum temperature, minimum temperature, that in the terms of forecasted way, right? So that may be coming through some other streams. So you should be collecting that data also. So how do you collect that particular data? So live stream can also play a very important role, because live stream data requires lot of setup. So it may be the setup in your cloud, it may be the setup in your big data. You'll also be requiring some help with respect to the cloud architecture, right? Big data engineering team, because big data engineering team is responsible for storing this huge amount of data. So a normal framework, guys, and again, if you have not worked in any real world projects, make sure that just try to create a small cluster using any big data techniques like Hadoop. You will be having a lot of open source setup for that. There is Cloudera. You can also practice that in AWS, and just try to do it. So once you are able to do that, you are able to collect the data, you are able to live stream that particular data through any means, and you are able to store that data. Okay, now the best example that I can give it to you is that, suppose you are working in AWS. In AWS, there is something called as S3 bucket. You can store any kind of data over there. And if you are actually taking some data from the live stream, you can actually store in that based on days, based on months, based on hours. In that particular folder structure, you can actually store all your data also. Now, the thing is that if you don't have any experience, try to research on that. Try to see that how you can actually make a small big data Hadoop cluster, where processing will also be happening. Now what kind of processing may happen over there? Some simple processing, from where you're actually getting the raw data and you're doing some amount of cleaning into that before storing into your database, that is the Hadoop database. Now if you have explained this properly, okay, then you can also go ahead with the challenges that you faced, and probably the challenges will be with respect to the data itself, and this will definitely give a wonderful vision for the recruiter that what you have actually done in that particular project itself. So the first part, as I told you, data collection strategy, you have to work on that. After data collection, you have to also tell that how you have stored that data, because that data may play a very important role while you are actually training your model, because from there on you will be considering taking up all the data, implementing all the life cycle of a data science project, right? Now the next thing is that after data collection and data storage, right, you have to move towards the life cycle of a data science. Now you know that you're getting the live stream data, you're storing that in some database. Similarly, the other data also, which is already present through some third-party APIs and all, you're extracting that and you're also storing that particular data. Now you know how to actually create your models, right? Because probably there'll be a lot of discussion with your business analyst with respect to your domain expertise, and then you'll try to actually create the life cycle of a data science project in the form of pipelines. Now many people also get confused by what is pipeline. Now understand guys, there is some pipeline. You can basically say that suppose I want to transfer the water, suppose I want to transfer drinking water from place A to place B, right? Then from that particular place A to place B, I can actually put pipes, right? I can connect multiple pipes and finally the water will go from one place to the other place, right? Similarly, data science project is all about integration of pipelines of various life cycle. Now first life cycle may be, the feature engineering. The second life cycle may be the feature selection. The third life cycle may be the model creation, right? And the fourth, which is the final one, which will actually be a model deployment strategy. So you can follow this particular pipeline strategy to showcase that how you have actually implemented each and every life cycle. Now, if I go to the feature engineering, so I explain in this particular way itself. If I go to the feature engineering, I explain him all the strategies, all the things that I've actually done in feature engineering, handling missing values, right? If my data is skewed, how do I handle that? How did I do the transformation of the data in that particular case, right? My data had some different kind of information over there. The data was not formatted properly. How did I fix that? Now I've also noted down some of the points over here with respect to category variables. There are various techniques, target mean encoding, one hot encoding. So which of the encoding techniques actually worked for your project and why did it work? You have to explain them that, because if I tell you an example like this, I had a lot of category features in my data set. Now because of that I did not perform one hot encoding. I went to perform some target mean encoding. Suppose I'm just giving you one of the reason why I did not use one hot encoding. So when you are able to strategize in this particular way, the recruiter will basically be more involved in asking the questions that you want, because you have actually done those kind of work, right? And then definitely you will be able to answer that particular questions also. Now some more things that specifically I'll tell you about feature engineering, like scaling, normalization, their standardization, how did you handle rare variables, how do you handle duplicate variables. So all those things. And suppose if you had a data set of time series data, right? Time series data, how did you do train test split for that? Okay, so all these things will actually come over there. What are the cross validation techniques you have actually used? How did you handle the imbalanced data set? How did you handle the outliers? So these all are some of the things that most probably everyone will do in a specific project. But if they are conveying this in a right way to the recruiter, it will be definitely a very important thing for you all. Because now the recruiter has a vision that yes, you have done a lot amount of work, right? So these are some of the things about feature engineering. Now the second pipeline. Now see, one pipeline is this. Right, one pipeline. Now the first pipeline, you finished up the feature engineering, all the processing has happened over there. Now it has gone to the second pipeline. The second pipeline is all about feature selection. Now in my data set I may have 100 features, I may have 200 features, but which features are important, right? Which features are important? And again, there are various techniques for that. I have uploaded so many videos in my YouTube channel specifically to different feature selection technique. How do you pick up only some important features? I've explained about correlation, I've explained about covariance over there. I've explained you about different strategies to select the features by using some select k features through the sklearn libraries. I've shown you the practical work with respect to Python also, right? So then we should try to understand why this feature selection is important, and what are the, again, in each and every pipelines you have to specify what are the problems that you faced and how did you fix that up. Okay, now this is specific to any programming language, guys. It may not only be Python. It is up to you, but you have to explain in this particular way, because now this is just like a storytelling mechanism, right? How you are actually telling your project in the form of a story. Every recruiter will be able to understand this thing. Now after feature selection, the next step that you should go is towards model creation. Now model creation is the most critical thing, because there you may be specifying that I've used this model, that model. So the recruiter first question will be that how did you decide the model? Okay, and trust me guys, there is no such specific answer, because when you have a huge data set, by seeing some of the properties you just can't define that this model will work well. Usually in companies people prefer using ensemble techniques. Okay, now when people are actually using ensemble techniques, usually some of the ensemble techniques works very well for that particular data set. So definitely try at least 5 to 6 models and try to see how good the accuracy is actually coming. Okay, so start with linear regression, lasso regression. Suppose if I'm taking a regression problem statement, try with linear, lasso, try with random forest, try random forest regressor, try with ADA boost regressor, try with XG boost regressor and other algorithms. Okay, so definitely at least verify some 5 to 6 models, and whichever model will be giving you the best accuracy, you'd consider that particular model itself. Okay, and this should also be in the form of pipeline, guys. Automated code should be written that which model out of this particular 5 model, which is the best model, pick up that specific model. And remember, as we need to retrain our model again and again for the next month data, whatever is collected, and when you're combining that whole data, you will again retrain all the models, and out of it, which will be the best model, that will be selected. So in the first month, suppose XGBoost regressor is the best model. In the second month, random forest regressor may also be the same best model itself. And always remember, when you're selecting the model, don't forget to actually perform the hyperparameter optimization, which is pretty much important. Okay, which is very important. Now there also you should be telling that how did you train your model, how much time it actually took based on the data that you actually had, what were the classification metrics, sorry, if I say performance metrics, not classification metrics, performance metrics, whichever you selected. In linear regression you should be able to explain, in classification you should be able to explain. Suppose you had an imbalanced data set and you did not fix the imbalanced data set, but still you directly use those data in some specific problem, in some specific, by using some machine learning algorithm which do not get impacted by the outliers. So over there, what kind of performance metrics that did you select, all these things needs to be explained. Now once this strategy is actually defined, and you're also told that how do you retrain your model, frequently, how frequently, every month, as I told you as an example, every month you train your model and select one of the best model. Okay, you're not just focusing on that specific model that you had actually selected on the first month. In the second month, the model may change, right? The final part, the final pipeline is about model deployment. Okay, now when you are actually doing model deployment, again guys, I have uploaded a lot of videos regarding model deployment in my YouTube channel. There is a deployment playlist, and just tomorrow I'll start making videos on Dockers and Kubernetes also, and most probably you'll be getting those videos till Monday. Okay, so in deployment you have to focus on multiple platforms, because in many companies people use Azure, AWS. Okay, there is also something called as Cloud Foundry that also can be used, but most of the companies, many of the companies will be actually using AWS and Azure. But still there also you need to learn one framework, a basic framework, which is called as Flask framework, because without Flask framework, Flask or Django, you can learn both. Okay, but just if you're considering a smaller application, I think you should go with Flask. Okay, I would suggest you should go with Flask. In Flask you'll be quickly able to create APIs for that specific model, because once a model is created, that model will be like a file, pre-compiled file format. Okay, we basically say it as pickle in case of machine learning models. So that particular pickle file will be deployed in the cloud, and an API will be created. API will be exposed to communicate with that particular model, right? And when an API is created, you just have to pass the input. That model is just like a black box. It will take the input and it will give you the output. Okay, some part of pre-processing has to be done before that, so that can be handled in the Flask framework itself, right? So once you're able to do that, you'll be getting the output. And remember, whatever output is there, you can actually store that output in some databases so that you can also do continuous monitoring in the backend. Okay, in the back end also you can continuously do the monitoring to find out whether the model is performing well or not. So this was the final pipeline regarding model deployment. Make sure that you have to know one of the framework if you're specifically using Python like Flask or Django, so that it will help you to do the deployment very much quickly, right? So once you have done the model deployment, now this looks like a end-to-end project explanation in front of the recruiter. And probably just to explain this, and if the interviewer is asking the question based on the difficulties that you have faced, and trust me, if the interviewer is actually listening to this many things, right, he will automatically be interested to ask the things that you have actually done, right? He'll just forget about his questions that he has actually prepared and he has actually come. Probably at the end of the whole explanation, he may ask you 1 or 2 questions, right? This has happened to me. This is how my strategy is. I know every people have different kind of strategies. I'm also not telling that this is a foolproof strategy, but this will definitely help you out. Okay, and this is just my experience, what I am actually sharing it in front of you. And definitely some of the visualization tools knowledge is also required. So you can also see that in my YouTube channel I've started uploading videos on Tableau and Power BI, so that you can also have some understandings onto it. So please do utilize these opportunities, learn a lot, many things like Tableau, Power BI, deployments, machine learning, deep learning, everything. Try to learn that things, guys. Everything is available in the YouTube channel. And yes, this was all about this particular video. I hope you like it. Please do subscribe the channel if you have not already subscribed. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day ahead. Thank you one and all. Bye bye.